night. And by the way, some of you are asking about the convention. Yeah, the convention website is allblacknationalconvention.com. If you go to allblacknationalconvention.com, you can actually get your pass. We do have a virtual ticket if you want to attend virtually. And let me turn this off. Sorry. And also, we have a children's track. So if you have your kids, you can actually drop them off. If they're between 7 and 14, you could drop them off for the children's educational track. So we have a whole team that spent literally a whole year putting that together. And we also have other stuff in the Black Business School, like the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program. We're actually releasing a training program for children in crypto within the next month or so. So I'll let you guys know about that. But if you want your kids to learn crypto, we actually have a crypto training program for kids with a whole certification process, self-study exams, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, let me keep reading here. Early in this century, vocational programs in the North and South were used to the detriment of Blacks. In the North, Black children were allowed to elect shop classes, even though there were no outlets to use them. We already said that. Blacks did use their Southern vocational program skills within their own segregated communities. So here, this is interesting. So what Dr. Anderson seems to be saying is that in the South, there were skilled Black people who actually had more options than their friends in the North. That literally in the South, you were, because of segregation, not that segregation was always a good or a bad thing, you can have your own opinion about that, but because there were communities that were 100% Black and they weren't sort of distracted by the illusion of integration, then you had jobs. If you were one of the Black plumbers in a Black town, you had plenty of work because people would hire you to do the plumbing. But if you went north and you believed the illusion of integration, then you get to the North and you find out that white people don't need a Black plumber because they have white plumbers, right? So I really think that in America, based on the way Americans look at each other, the way whites and Blacks see each other, integration probably was a bit of a mistake. Because you're being brought in, but you're being brought in a subordinate way. So it's really a lot like if you have a house and I have a house and I say, well, why don't you burn your house down and come live with me? I have a big house. It's a mansion, and we can come and we can share this mansion. But then you come to my house and I make you and your family sleep in the basement, or you come in the house and I say, yeah, the house is 10,000 square feet. 9,900 of those square feet belong to me. 100 square feet belong to you. That's what Black people have gotten in an integrated society. Integration itself is not the problem. It is who you integrate it with and the mindset of not just them, but also of yourself that cause integration to fail. So you moving into my house is not the problem. The problem is that if I decide I want to abuse you, or I don't see us as equals, or I see that somehow you're just this pathetic person that I'm going to help and that I need to always be in charge, then that's not going to really work. That's not going to be a scenario where both of us benefit at the same level. So ultimately, I think that for the Black community, we have to really sort of readdress this whole integration issue and just accept the fact that it was a miserable failure. There's almost nothing about integration that worked to the benefit of Black people. There's a lot about integration, though, that worked to the benefit of society. And so in your role as a trained servant to a broader society, you've been raised to believe that integration was the best thing since sliced bread, because for America, it was a very good thing. There was trillions of dollars in economic possibility that was created because white America was able to swallow you up and acquire you the way one big corporation acquires another. Everything that was unique and specific to you, that was powerful for you, is now diluted and gone, and it's now being used to serve the purposes of somebody else. And then they say, well, there's no need for you to be training your children to be business owners anymore because you don't have any businesses. You're all going to come work for us. So let's keep going. In educating our children, so let me give you another way to look at it. So let's take that analogy full circle of you coming to live with me. So basically, integration was kind of like you come to live with me. My house is 10,000 square feet. 9,900 square feet belong to me, 100 square feet belong to you. And then I say to you, since you don't have a house anymore, that you don't have a mortgage to pay, so now that you've got this extra money, just give the money to me and I'll pay the mortgage on my house with your money. So you've gone from being a homeowner to being a home renter. So all the money that you would have put into, pay attention now, this is real. I've never shared this analogy anywhere. This is literally coming off my brain, like as I'm processing this. So instead of that money going toward you owning your own home, all that money is going toward me owning my home. So then I can take your money plus my money. Now I got all that I had and I got all that you have. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy me a bigger house. And then I'm going to, in order to keep you from getting hip to the game, I'm going to say, look at this big, beautiful house we were able to afford. Now we can get a 20,000 square foot house. So just keep paying money so we can pay the mortgage together, even though I'm the owner of the house. So at the end of the day, I'm rich. I'm getting rich off of you, right? So my house, I own the house. We're paying it together, but I own it. So basically in America, with integration, before integration, you had the white people stuff and you had the black people stuff. Your time and energy would have been poured into building a black community. Your time and energy would be poured into building the Black Wall Streets and the other many countless towns that were black owned, where they actually had real estate and property and businesses and everything else. So that wealth was going directly to the black community. So then you get integrated, all those businesses disappear. You suddenly become employees and consumers of white-owned businesses. America gets taller and stronger because of another form of colonialism, basically. And then the black community ends up having nothing. So America got filthy rich from integration, and the black community actually struggled economically, and it all makes sense. It all makes sense because it's all about the terms of negotiations, the terms of the deal. You just got a raw deal. Now, if you moved in and you demanded from the beginning that everything be 50-50, if you demand equality, then you can get equality. But the problem is that they don't want to give you equality, and you don't want to ask for it. You never ask for it. Even just the fact that somebody's asking about my shirt. What does my shirt say? It says that I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm just black. I vote black in every election. So just me saying that in order for me to vote for a politician, I need them to actually give something to black people. That's really seen as a radical idea. That seemed crazy. That seemed like that to some people, that's extremist. And I'm like, there's nothing extreme about black people expecting to be treated as fairly as white people are. Like, that's, if I were a white guy saying this, it wouldn't be weird. If I were gay or if I were a white feminist or something and I said this, it wouldn't be seen as extreme. It's only seen as extreme because you're accustomed to black people sort of asking for nothing and getting everything. So you're as complicit in this toxic relationship as the other party. And one of the areas where I'm probably seen as a little radical on this as well, a lot of us are, is because I believe that we should hold ourselves accountable for this. None of this will happen if you don't allow it anymore. Your kids won't be graduating from high school not being able to read if you simply don't allow it. If you just say, well, every kid in my house is going to learn how to read. Your kids ain't going to go into the world broke and struggling if you just simply say, no, we don't do that around here. We make sure we invest for our children. So all this is in your control. All this is in your power. You can't change what white people do. You can't change that, but you can change what you do and how you react to what they do. Okay, so I'm gonna read the last paragraph here, and then we'll be done for the night. In case you're new to the book club, this book club, we meet every Wednesday night and we study Powernomics. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. If you want to get all the archived lectures, I've done about probably 50 or 60 of them by now. Feel free to go to drboycebookclub.com. That's drboycebookclub.com. I think if you use the code word book club, you can get a discount on the lectures. It's not free. The book club is free. The live lectures are free. The archives are shared at a price, but it's well worth it. And it's a way we raise money in the Black Business School. So feel free to go to drboycebookclub.com. Okay, so he says here on page 109 in Powernomics, in educating our children to meet the economic needs of Black communities, the competitive skills they learn to apply in their school groups should translate in later years to group economic competitiveness. So if your kids are not learning things that are going to make them competitive economically, then it's a waste of time, chances are. The vocational school programs inside Powernomics communities would produce human resources for vertical industries, other community businesses, and businesses outside of the community. Schools and businesses should establish apprenticeship and work study programs. These internships and work relationships guarantee that the academic program and the business linkages produced on the on the job training relevant to the available job markets inside and outside of Black communities. Black students would then be equipped to leave school with academic as well as vocational skills. So let me kind of lay this out in a simple framework. Okay. And by the way, you can get Dr. Anderson's books by going to powernomics.com. If you if you're trying to build an economy in your community, you have to also build up the skill set of the community. One of the problems many of us have, and raise your hand if you have this issue, is that if you're elevating and the people around you are not trying to elevate, it makes it really hard for you to get things done because you end up all by yourself, right? You start your business and you're looking to hire your little cousins and your nieces and nephews and your auntie or whoever, and no one has any skill that they can contribute to any of the day. Some of them may not even have discipline, just basic discipline, like the ability to do simple things like show up to work on time or write an email to a customer, right? And so what this really says is that there's a deep-seated cultural problem in a lot of our families that has to be addressed in order for us to achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve. If you don't address that, then you're going to end up with this weird skills gap. Like, for example, it's weird for me, when I went and got my PhD, it was weird for me when I didn't know any other Black males from my circle that I grew up with who even thought that what I was doing made any sense. I ended up feeling alone, and it's weird when you start a business and you say, I want to go hire Black people, and the Black people that you try to hire just act a damn fool. And you know what I'm talking about. Or it's weird if you're a Black consumer. Some of y'all have gone through some of this. Let's just keep it honest. When you say, okay, I want to get my house done, I want to get a segment built on my house, and you try to find a Black contractor who you can hire. Is anybody going through that? And you can't find one that can do the job. or you hire one and everything just goes wrong, but yet you go hire some Hungarians or Russians, and they just do the job perfectly efficiently, and it just makes you mad because they did a better job for half the price. Well, a lot of that's because of culture. I remember one guy that was doing a contract thing on my cousin's house, and I was there and I heard the Russian guy that was doing the contract. He said the Mexicans will come in tomorrow. And I was like, wow, that was a pretty blatant way to say it. And then the next day, a big army of Mexican guys came in and did the glass in the house. They did it perfectly, right? And this is because there's a culture that exists where the children all have certain skills. So in our families, the ones that actually want to evolve, we have to really sort of challenge any part of that culture that makes sure that the only skills our kids have collectively is the ability to dance. They can dance their ass off, they can play basketball and play football, but can they come and fix a toilet? Can they come and fix the electricity in a house? Can they put a roof on somebody's house in order to make money? And I bet you that 99% of the time, a lot of our kids can't do any of that. So what happens at that point? Well, a lot of them end up, this is a multi-trillion-dollar resource. This is a multi-trillion-dollar wealth theft in your community. A lot of them just end up out there and they're just marginalized. They're just out there. They're just out there. So at that point, maybe you're talking about maybe fast food jobs. The prisons are always ready to receive them because they make good money when they go to prison. So you know that they fill up the prisons. The morgues get filled up by some of the young Black men that are out here thugging and copying what their favorite rapper was rapping about in the last song. And it just kind of becomes sad. And what really makes me sad is when I walk through major cities and I see so many Black men begging for money. It just makes me sad. I know that there are non-Black people that beg too. I'm not saying that we're the only ones, but it just bothers me, and it makes me wonder, where did this story begin? How, when I was in New York and I saw an old man who was asking me for money. He's about 60 something years old. and I gave him some money, and I was looking at him and I was just thinking, like, who forgot about you? Like, who neglected you? Who did this to you? Who put you out of this world when you, because you were a little kid, you could have been president of the United States, you could have been a heart surgeon, you could have been anything. But somehow, 65 years after your birth, you're on the streets begging me for money. How did this happen? How did we end up here? Well, if you backtrack, you'll probably find that early in his life, there was some degree of dysfunction. Maybe a mama that wasn't there, a daddy that wasn't there, maybe some abuse that wasn't there. There was probably some neglect that occurred in the education system. He went to school, and everybody goes to school. Everybody has stories about going to school, but not everybody has stories about what you learned in school, right? And then he got into the street, maybe got involved in drugs, maybe got involved in liquor, and got some girl pregnant or whatever, right? And you just end up down that cycle. So I would encourage us to really take control of our kids in every single way, to be very intentional and very conscious about how our children are raised. And to just also, we have to accept the fact that we can't change everybody. We can't change the whole Black community. I don't think that's possible. Maybe one day one of your kids will grow up and have, $10 billion in the bank and be able to do something on a large scale that impacts lots of people. That's a possibility. Like even from my platform, I know that I can see families that I've been able to hopefully impact in a positive way. And that just came from sort of having some sort of idea of what the problems are and what I could actually do from the space that I'm in to address that. But overall, I really think that this idea that all Black people are just going to march in lockstep to the same message, I don't see that happening for a very long time. So I would say hide your wife, hide your kids, meaning prepare your family to do something that's very different from what the culture is telling them to do. Because from what I see here, a lot of it can end up very toxic and very unproductive, and really designed for slavery, really designed to make sure that you are dependent on other people, that you're running for your life constantly, that you're always in a struggle, and you're always in the middle of drama. So some specific recommendations I would give to anybody is that if you haven't thought about things like therapy, I would look into that. Most of you have trauma. Trauma is heavy. My wife is a certified trauma specialist, or certified trauma professional. I think that's what her license was. And I just didn't realize how bad trauma not only is in our community, but what it does to you, and what it does to your physical health, what it does to your choices, what it does to you financially, relationship wise, everything. So look into therapy. I would really encourage you to consider that. I've done therapy. I'm not scared to admit it, because therapy is not something that you just do if you're messed up or if you're crazy. Therapy is what you do to keep from going crazy. If you're not, and really, if you're Black and you're seeing all, and you're alert to the nonsense all around you, and you're not going crazy from what you're seeing, then that means you're not conscious enough. To be Black and conscious means to be insane half the damn time. I am constantly in a state of what feels like insanity, anger, disappointment, emotional ups and downs, because I'm sitting here watching all this wasted potential, all this wasted opportunity. So maybe I am a little crazy. I'm sure I am. So ultimately, I would encourage you to look into things like therapy, and then also spending time around people that are going to help you elevate, that are going to help you spread your wings and help you fly and help you grow. You got to watch out for people that just aren't there yet. You forgive them and you move on, period. So before I head out, I'll answer a couple questions. Let's see here. So in terms of the 3 C's, which is better, an LLC or to incorporate, I think an LLC is a good place to start. Amira, I think it's a good place to begin. It's the Black House of Atlanta, productive for our Black youth. I love the Black House. I have an office in the Black House. I'm not there very often, but I got the office there. My wife and I did, to show support and solidarity for the Black House, because we think it's an amazing place, and we like to put our money where our mouth is to support the things we believe in. So that's my story on the Black House. So anyway, guys, I look forward to seeing you at the convention. If you want to make it, if you feel compelled to come out, if you can't make it out, there are virtual passes as well. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com, or you can go to boycewatkins.com, and you can find the all the passes right there on my website if you want to. Also on my website, boycewatkins.com, I put a link to the Q&A, where you can actually see the Q&A that they did the other day to answer questions about the convention and what to look for and how to prepare. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys next week. So have a good night. Talk to you later.